Hello, station crew! Today we're going to be looking at Syndicate Loadouts for the Science Department. This is the department that I have the most playtime in, so I guess you could consider it my main. I have a lot to say about this one, so buckle up. As always, disclaimer. These aren't guaranteed to help you with your objectives. Be smart and choose things that work well for what you need to do. Let's start with the scientist's unique uplink items. First of all, they share the sponge box with the chef. It's 6 cubes that spawn dangerous wildlife that attack everything they see upon hydration. That costs 7 TC. The second one is unique to scientists, the chimp upgrade chip. This adds a 5th particle type to any chimp hand cannon, omega particles. These will cause anomalies to go super critical, and they do 20 burn damage per shot. Ever since the orbs got their speed back, this is a pretty decent weapon. Security will be able to see that it's been upgraded if they inspect it, but it's technically departmental science contraband, so you'll probably not get it confiscated on higher RP levels. As a scientist, you have a choice between 2 types of research, anomalies and artifacts. Both can be useful to you as a trader, but they aren't very consistent. I'll go over them anyway. First, artifacts. There's a somewhat common node that creates bananas and potassium on activation. Put that in some water into a chemical payload, slap it into a modular grenade, and you have a very powerful explosive. You could also use a cryostasis beaker if you're inclined. Much rarer is the small entity accelerator node. It works as a .45 revolver that comes loaded with 7 rounds. I don't have to tell you why you want a gun in a Syndicate. It even has a full auto mode, which can be devastating when you load it with AP rounds from your uplink. There's the long distance communication node, which turns the artifact into an all-access intercom, which can be good for keeping tabs on security and command. There's the internal chamber effect, which either gives you a double-sized storage container or a 150-unit storage container for liquids. No security officer is going to think of checking inside an artifact during a search, so this is a great way to hide contraband. Finally, there's the utility conglomerate node, which turns the artifact into an omni-tool. Tools are nice, but they're not exactly hard to get as scientists. Next, anomalies. Anomalies are especially inconsistent because they spawn in random spots, but putting any of them into a super crit can be devastating. Things get interesting when we look at anomalous infections. If your kill target gets infected, that's an easy accidental gib, and if you get infected, that's superpowers. Let's run through them real quick. Fire, ice, and electric will periodically hurt you and those around you. Shadow will make cover. Plant and flesh will spawn monsters that attack people around you, but not you. Blue space will teleport you and others around you. Finally, tech will randomly connect electronics together, or even EMAG them. They can all be good, but I wouldn't recommend keeping them around unless you have a plan for what to do with them. Scientists' whole job is to craft pretty much every item in the game. If you and your coworkers are doing well on research points, you'll get access to a ton of things that can be potentially helpful to a trader. Let's go over each research path and identify some of the standouts. First, and most obvious, is the arsenal path. People don't tend to go for this often, as most of the tech is exclusive to the SecFab. Luckily, you have a way around this. Emagging your proto-lathe will let you print most of the arsenal items you research. On level 1, there's laser weaponry, as well as uranium and draconic munitions. Those are all self-explanatory. Advanced riot control gives you the very powerful truncheon, which does 20 blunt damage per swing. Finally, salvage weapons will give you access to TPK 800, which is surprisingly good at breaking into places. 2 full salvos will break any door that's not high security. Level 2 has laser cannons, which are basically upgraded laser rifles. Wave particle harnessing unlocks the X-ray cannon, which is good because radiation resistance isn't very common. Level 3 is where it gets really interesting. Experimental battery ammo gives you the Swollen laser pistol, which, instead of being charged at a recharger, uses normal power cells as if they were gun magazines. It is pretty underpowered, clocking in at only 7 heat damage per shot. This one can even be made at non-EMAG proto-lathes for some reason. Portable microfusion gives you the advanced laser pistol and the portable recharger. The advanced laser pistol functions exactly the same as the captain's laser. 17 heat damage, 10 shots, recharges itself over time. The portable recharger is insane. It's a 4x4 item, so it can fit in any backpack, and it charges items the same way square chargers do. If you alternate 2 advanced lasers in the charger, you'll have a never-ending barrage of high-damage lasers to fire at enemies. If you go this route, you'll be very powerful. The only thing you can't craft yourself is armor, so use your uplink to complement the rest of your arsenal. Do note that science doesn't tend to research arsenal stuff till everything else is already done. If you do this, people are going to get a little suspicious. Additionally, everything you research here is also able to be made by security. Use this path wisely. Next, industrial. There's not really anything tradery on level 1. Level 2 has advanced tools, which unlocks the Jaws of Life. These are good for getting into places you shouldn't be, albeit slowly and noisily. Mass excavation gives the diamond-tipped drill, which is a very powerful melee weapon that can break a reinforced wall in less than 30 seconds. Level 3 gives blue space bags, which have tons of storage, and microreactor cells, which auto-charge themselves. This path is mostly just miscellaneous tools. Next, civilian services. Again, level 1 is just normal stuff. Level 2 has advanced spray, which will let you make a makeshift flamethrower. Biochemical stasis gives you cryostasis beakers, which is good for making chemical grenades. If you're into cruel and unusual punishment, you can reroute cargo's purchase console to a telepad in the middle of space. Level 3 gets you blue space syringes and beakers, which could be good for holding a lot of meds. Quantum fiber weaving is very good. I'm sure you've heard it said that speed is the most important part of this game's combat, and this gives you a straight buff. It'll completely negate the speed penalty of even a Juggernaut suit. It does require batteries, though. Finally, experimental. Level 1 gives you the Gorilla Gauntlet. It's slow, but does a ton of blunt damage and a ton of knockback. Fun fact, if you pair this with core that came from a supercritical anomaly, it'll get a few extra charges. Mag boots are nice for if you want to sabotage gravity, and moo boots give moths some fun movement. Level 2 gets you the Chimp Hand Cannon, which has an upgrade I previously mentioned. Artifact crushers aren't necessarily good, but it's very funny when you do get someone with it. Emagging an artifact crusher will make it lock and automatically start crushing once someone is put in. Deterrence Technologies gives you the Force Field Projector, which can instantly create walls that take a while to destroy. Level 3 is where things get good. The Force and Tether guns are very interesting. The Force gun works kind of like a cannon. It grabs something, brings it close, and fires. Fun fact, if you throw a turret toolbox at a wall with this, it'll open on impact. You need to be extremely careful with this one. Any objects that do damage when thrown are liable to get stuck inside you when you fire them. This doesn't seem intentional, so hopefully it gets fixed. The Tether gun gives a lot more control, but a lot less force. It's good for slowly levitating a bag of C4 into your target's face. I'm not sure what to think about the quantum spin inverter. Teleportation is obviously an invaluable tool, but the 5-minute recharge time is really steep. You can use it for getaways, stash your steel objectives in a bag and teleport them onto evac, or my personal favorite, throw one into space, and use thief gloves to sneak the other into a target's hand. Right before it goes in, activate it, and after a quick delay, your target will be in the middle of the void. If you're worried they'll be able to survive the 5 minutes and take their recharge, you can just toss the other one into space too. And that's all the useful tech. Now let's actually make some loadouts from them. I think the Chimp upgrade is highly underutilized. Anomalies going supercritical is a great way to cause chaos. If you spawn a few anomalies, get some survival gear, and supercrit them all, the crew will start dying, just like that. Be careful if you're going to supercrit a blue space anomaly. They're very likely to just teleport you into space. I will note, depending on how your server's admins define max RDM, this may just end up getting you point. If you want to live out your dreams of being a shonen protagonist, I recommend researching speed shoes and pairing them with North Stars. Just rush at your enemy, beat them to death, and drag them into mains to be gibbed, all in the blink of an eye. If you have a lot of steel objectives, you want to do the industrial track. Blue space bags are great for carrying lots of gear, plus Jaws of Life and diamond-tipped drills are great for breaking and entering. I've talked about going loud with Arsenal a lot, but I haven't actually said my preferred loadout for it yet. Personally, I like to use the Blood Red Hardsuit, EMAG, and Viper. I'm a ride or die Viper head. It's the cheapest option for full auto, and does great damage when paired with uranium or draconic munitions. If your science team isn't particularly good at research, you may not be able to get to tier 3 arsenal, so this is a good baseline. A jetpack is also really useful here, since your main weapon is one-handed anyway. Just EMAG into EVA and swipe one when no one's around. If you'd like to save some TC, it's decently easy to steal the RD's suit instead of buying one. If they're not wearing it, EMAG it into their office. If they are, shoot them dead. If you do get to tier 3 arsenal, try this. Just get an EMAG and your choice of hardsuit from the Uplink. The rest of your gear, 2 advanced laser pistols and a portable recharger, can be printed from the lathes. I can't tell you how good it feels to dual-wield Captain lasers at security. If you're feeling particularly evil, you can blow up the research server with a modular grenade so no one else can create the powerful weapons. I haven't even talked about cyborgs yet. Scientists, this is the job that works with Borgs the most, and that allows for them to be easily EMAG'd over to your side. If you want to be a robot master, here's the loadout. EMAG, binary key, and 1 or 2 weapons modules. I prefer 2 because having 2 Borgs working for you allows them to be much more self-sufficient since they can weld one another. You don't need to give them both weapons if you don't feel like it. If there's a robotics control console on the station, be sure to have your Borgs destroy it so the RD can't just blow them up, and be sure not to alert the station AI to your plans. And I think that's everything for scientists. There's so much you can do in this role, I'm bound to have missed something, so feel free to talk about your own loadouts in the comments. Next episode should hopefully come out quicker than this one did, so feel free to recommend which department you'd like to see next. See you then.